Okay, well, welcome aboard. Sorry for the late stream today. That's just how my particular cookie crumbled. I'm behind on Swordtember. Not terribly behind. I'm 1 day behind, which means I need to make 2. Hopefully by today, because otherwise, if I don't do anything today, then tomorrow I'll need to make 3. And I don't really want to do that. This is how you end up. You start down that path. This is how you end up getting nothing done. So I thought I could just work on those. I did release a video, if you're watching this right around the time I'm putting it out, a video looking at the second OSR maxim I want to demystify or help demystify, which is rulings, not rules. So go check that out. Let me see. I'm putting together some source books here. I might have mentioned somewhere, you might have seen it. You might have, if you saw any of the weapons I've put out. I have been leaning on the OD&D Magic Swords table. I'm just trying to find my book. That's not the one I want. This is the one I want. Using this, and I have a digital one. I should probably pull the digital one up. Let's see. Can I find it? I'll just do it like this. So what I like to do, and now I haven't been necessarily rolling them up because, well, so for example, well, let me explain why I like this item. I like to use this or something similar for all my items, not just weapons, all my items. The reason of it is one, I like giving everything alignments. I feel like alignments for in my world, in my campaign world, I guess, in my games that I like to run, and this is some watered down lemonade for the working man. In my games I like to run, I like using alignments, and part of giving alignments something to do is to use them for magic items, because then there's a real consequence. If you're whatever else is going on, if you are lawful, the character's lawful or the creature's lawful, and they try to grab an item that's chaotic, they get a big zap, and it can do enough damage depending on what class and level you are to kill you. It's not inconsequential if you grab an item of a different alignment, and I like that. I think that there should be consequences for choosing, whether you're going with the cosmic teams, whether you're trying to, and I'm getting more into wanting to, and this is probably a video I'll do another time, is really I want to bring, if we're going to posit that law and chaos are having this cosmic war, I don't want it actually to be something that's just beyond. I want it to feel that the things going on the ground, it may not be level 1, say a squabble between two brothers over a crown, but that underneath that you can feel that there are these tensions that are law and chaos, or that struggle resonates through things, right? So that sort of as above, so below. Those things are fighting way up in the cosmic scale. Well, down here on our little planet, our little plane, our little patch of land, these things too are happening. Hey, Brian Smith. Happy Webtember to everybody. Sorry you can't stick around. Yeah, so I've been calling September Webtember because I don't want to just do it to swords. Why do swords need to have all the love? I know I get it from a fantasy stereotype trope standpoint. Magic swords are all the thing, but I want to do more things. But the other thing I like about the magic weapons tables is the intelligence aspect, whether you want to have it be a real intelligence or a pseudo intelligence. You think about in Lord of the Rings, the One Ring seems to have something. It doesn't seem to be smart necessarily, but at certain times it definitely acts like it has a will of its own, slipping off someone's finger at just that such and such a time, right? That kind of thing. And the magic sword table kind of it kind of models that a bit, where you're giving items, in my case, or swords by the book, intelligence and also that ego. How driven are they to pursue their own ends, whatever those ends are, which I think is another thing for any kind of item. If it's been imbued with some strong powers, then I think it should be. It comes into something I've been mentioned earlier, and I think is also another video, is trying to think about magic items in terms of why they were created, what were they created for, instead of just saying, okay, this is just a Holy Avenger and it's just kind of generic. Well, no, someone made this Holy Avenger. What did they make it for? What was the impetus behind it? Or if someone has, hey, this sword is +4 versus giants. Oh, that's great. Why? What were they doing? This had to have been done for a reason. And again, going back to Lord of the Rings, you'd think, okay, in the barrow, they find those barrow blades that were essentially created as anti-Witch King weapons. Why? Because the people who were buried in those barrow mounds, or at least in that barrow mound, were the enemies of the Witch King, killed by the Witch King, and in their attempts to try to stop the Witch King, made anti-Witch King weapons. It makes sense. And because the tensions and everything in that conflict are so high, you can see how smiths and just the whole energy of what's happening as they're under attack from the Witch King or trying to counterattack the Witch King, you can see how their intentions become so strong that it gets imbued into the item. And I really like that idea that these items are strong. These items have powers, not just because someone sat back and did a little dibbly-doo, doubly-da, but because there was so much of their, they say, like, Sauron, his thoughts, so much intention put into this. We gotta kill the Witch King, or we gotta stop the Witch King. So we're making these weapons and we're putting that intention in the weapon, and we're good enough smiths and we have enough power in our beings that we can do that, right? That we can make that happen. So I've been really enjoying that. And that's what I've been trying to do with the weapons that I've created, is kind of look at their backstories or try to create a backstory for them and think about why are they the way they are. And then using the tables and lists in this magic sword part of, and this is if you have it digitally or you want to follow along from home on yours, they start on page, we're talking in Monsters and Treasure. Oh, what page are we on? We're on, let's see, I'm looking at page 28, but I think it starts 27 through to 30. Excuse me. 27 to 30. And like I said, I haven't been rolling necessarily on there, but I've been using it as a template, as a guide. So I'm looking at, for example, how many powers to give it. And the die, so in the tables, under intelligence, you'll see there's the intelligence can go from 1 to 12, but really you only start getting powers for the sword at intelligence 7. So 7, you get 1 power, and then or that die roll, which also becomes the intelligence, is how intelligent it is, get how many. So the higher you roll, the more powers you get, kind of thing. So I've been trying to use that as a guide, and I don't want everything necessarily to have like the super high intelligence and they're just blabbing and talking. So I've been using sort of empathy as for, so though some of them, a couple of them have spoken language, because I think that's neat also. And then, the powers, I obviously, if you've looked at any of the ones that I've put out publicly, they're not sticking by the lists that you have here in the book. Though, you can use for inspiration. So, for example, there's a D100 roll. You can see that. Ooh, let me move that like that. D100 roll for the first one's for primary powers, and the second one's for languages spoken. And then you get that extraordinary combat power, or not combat ability table there, which is more inside there. You got sort of the clairvoyance, clairaudience, ESP, telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, also X-ray vision, also illusion generation, levitation, flying, healing. On the primary powers, we've got, and they're all pretty basic in here. They're not, remember this, this is obviously super early, right? This is one of the first 3 books of D&D period. So they're not crazy here. It's stuff like noting shifting walls and rooms, detecting sloping passages, locating secret doors, detecting traps, seeing invisible, detecting evil or gold, which I like that, and or gold, which is kind of cool. I like that somehow. I mean, I can get it, but right, it's just interesting that evil and gold are kind of connected together. Detect meal and what kind, which is it's dinner. You detect dinner. Detect magic, detect gems. Remember, right? We're in a game that almost all your experience is coming from finding treasures. So being able to detect gold or gems, really good. And then finally, you have one of the options is you get to take 2 rolls, and then double odds gives you a roll on the extraordinary ability. Also, if you have a 12 on intelligence, you also get an extraordinary ability. So that's the tables. But like I said, I'm using them for inspiration. Now, I've been sitting here chewing on Primeval for a while. So here's the themes. So the themes that I've got that I need to do. Primeval was yesterday's. Skull is today's. These 2 are the next 2 days. I'm not thinking I'm going to get to these today. It really depends. It really depends. But I thought I would at least, I'd be, try to be aspirational. I'll put them out there. And then if perchance I can get multiples. JT says Primeval is a tough one. Yeah, it's right, because it's not as yes, I agree. Because, and the reason is that it doesn't it's such a broad theme, because Primeval is just, really old. Hey, this is really old. Okay, great. But I mean, we're making magic weapons for a D&D game. They're probably really old. I mean, they tend to be. They don't tend to be. I guess that's one of those interesting things. Maybe in somebody's game, you're finding weapons that are brand new, like just out of the warehouse, just off the hot press, just out of the furnace, into the quenching oil and into your hands. It's brand new. I mean, everything's kind of old. So then thinking of like, no, this is really old, or this is some special way old, it's difficult. So one thing I did have, and I'm just going to throw some things out here. I'm not going to worry about getting the exact text out, but I this is what I had, because I'm thinking from your sort of fantasy medieval situation, what would be old? So I thought going back to something bronze. I don't know if it'd be a bronze tipped spear, bronze headed spear. Maybe that kind of would give some age to it. I had this idea because the other thing I've been thinking about is I already have the setting that I mentioned this in one of the other. When did I might have mentioned this? I don't know, one of the other streams. But I've been coming up with these weapons, and I've sort of been building backstories around them, which has been kind of fun. You come up with a weapon, like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. Okay, it's instead of being generic, let's think about who made it, why, what were they trying to do, and you end up with this kind of backstory. And then I started seeing, well, these backstories are kind of connecting together. Or I am starting to connect them together to create a little bit of a sort of micro setting, at least implied. There was some kind of war against a necromancer, and some of the weapons are on the evil side. That some of the weapons were folks who were either the necromancer, their lieutenant. Some of the weapons have been on the good side. So it's kind of fun to think about. You had this great conflict in some setting in the past, and these weapons that you're coming up with were all involved, or items now, because one of I have now is a cloak. So I'm even going past weapons. All these things are from this great past war that have now, a lot of them have kind of vanished. We don't know where they are yet. Or they, last seen here, last seen there, which could be things that you can then work into what the players are looking for. But then I thought, I do have this setting that I've been trying to finish for my way, way overdue zine. And why not, instead of coming up with a whole new setting, implied though it may be, why not just fold these into my setting? So that's what I've been thinking about doing. So for Primeval, I have my little micro setting is this valley. I think I call it Valley of the Lions, Valley of the Lionesses, the Seven Sisters. JT says something in the likes of an Aztec Macahuitl. I don't know how to pronounce that, so apologies. Maybe I was just thinking almost like a Greek, like one of those big Greek kind of spears, or something like a Trojan, something from the Trojan Wars. But I don't know. Could be. We could probably do some image searching on. Well, let me just do a search on that. Why not? How do you spell that? Makuahuitl. Let's see some images. What have we got? Oh, so this is more like a, okay, now I remember what this is. I don't think this is so much. Yeah, this is more of a club. Let's see what a bronze, not that that wouldn't be cool, because it would also have, it might imply, I don't know if that would imply sort of ancientness or not. What happened to my ocean? Maybe I should turn off. There we go. Let's see. What about a bronze spear? Ooh, bronze spearheads. Here we go. What's this? Now let's see what you got, BBC. This was found in Jersey. I'm sure not New Jersey. Thank you, BBC. No, thank you. Carbon dating in the remains of the wood shaft that was attached to confirmed it was from, wow, 1207 BC and 1004 BC. That's a pretty neat shape. Right, so it says the most primeval weapon of all, a pointy thing. Yeah, I kind of dig that shape to it. Yeah, something pointy, something heavy. Right. That is a cool shape. Some of these other ones are kind of cool too. What's that? This kind of leaf? Is there a? There's a Chinese, ancient Chinese kind. We've got some javelins. Are there some names for these? Ancient Irish. So cool. So bronze spearheads. All right, I'm digging the bronze spearhead idea. What is that? I just like that one because it's clean. Let me view the image. Access denied. How could you deny me, image person? You cannot deny me, I don't think. Oops, not that. There we go. Can I paste that in there? Oh, it didn't paste? Ooh. What are you doing to me? You're really not going to let me take that? Well, let's see if I, whoops. Oh, that's kind of interesting too, but no, wait, that wasn't a real one, was it? No, I think that's a very important Indo-Gangetic bronze spearhead, really? I mean, that one's pretty barred arse. What's the story on this? Tell me the story on this. Loading. Very important. Oh, no. Okay. Vetted professionals. All right. I'm starting to doubt. All right. I got doubts on that one now. I'll go back to finding that simple one again. Brian Smith says, like an animal fang or a sharp stick or rock. Is that too far back? I mean, primeval could be whatever you want it to be, really. There's no one's got a, what did I just lose my spot? There's no one's got a lock on what being primeval means. I just want to find that one. I really liked that one before. Was that it? But that's the one that wasn't going to let me. These leaf kind of shapes are cool too. What's this? Some of these are really neat. Bronze Age rapier. I don't know what happened to that one I had that I liked. Could be used as a dagger since the shaft will be long gone. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms. So here's the thing, right? In terms of archaeology, yeah, the shaft gone. I think this might be the one I really liked, but I would probably see if there's some other ones of these. I would probably keep the shaft. You know, it's a magic weapon, so in terms of magic weapons, I'm not worried about the shaft being gone. Now, if we were playing, you know, Indiana Jones and he's going off to try to find this thing, then that's a different ball game. Is this the one that it wouldn't let me copy? I think so. I really can't send access denied. Really? Why are you denying me, Amazon? Well, let's. Yeah. Let's just do more than one way to skin a cat. I'm not trying to steal it from you, silly internet person. I'm just trying to get a copy of it so I can put it here. Or maybe here. Or actually, what I'll do is not stop. Whoop, there we go. All right. The ouchie feather or stabby leaf. I think I like the stabby leaf. So it's a bronze-headed spear. I'm not going to really, I don't even really, I just want to have this kind of as a, I'm not really going to reference it in the description because I'll you know, folks can come up with that ever they want. But what might be some primevalisms? What primevalisms might we have? I don't even know what a first of all, what the heck is a primevalism? I'm guessing we're in some far past. So either we can go with these folks are even more advanced than we are. You know, that kind of the past is always greater than us. The first age, you know, is better than the second age, better than the third age kind of thing. Or we can go, this is from someone who had not reached development. I think I want to have this be not necessarily, I want to say more primitive, but from a simpler, maybe a simpler time. So what kind of powers? Maybe something that, what would be handy? What would be handy? Okay, bronze-headed spear. Let's call it, well, we'll call it +2. Give it a +2. Hey, Kian, I am planning on publishing the hex crawl sheet. Yes, it's coming. Things are happening, and it is coming. Now, if you join the Patreon, you can actually grab it right now. Other than that, yes, you'll have to wait a stretch, but it's coming. It is coming. Let's see. Okay, so bronze-headed spear +2. What might be good? What might be good? Oh, you know what? Here we go. Detect animal? I'm using detect for all kinds of stuff. And I'm not worried that there's not a spell written up for detect animal. But I kind of like that. On the idea that maybe it was a great hunter's. This was the spear of a mighty hunter. And so the hunter that could detect animals. Yeah, and this is from a hunting tribe. Yeah, I mean, yes, some kind of great hunter. Brian says be pretty handy to be able to defend yourself against big crazy monsters while the ancients are kind of finding their place in that pecking order. Yeah, I can see that. So we got detect animal. Hey, Kent. So I'm doing Swordtember, though I'm calling it Weptember because it should actually probably just call it Item Tember. But yeah, so I'm creating magic items or magic weapons, for the most part weapons, but it doesn't have to be, using the themes for this this thing that folks are doing called Swordtember, which is basically giving you kind of randomly generated themes to build swords, but I'm doing weapons out of. So the theme for this one, and this is just from that Swordtember list, is primeval. So I'm trying to think of something that, you know, we're looking at current day as kind of ye old fantasy medieval. So now I'm looking back. I'm using primeval as kind of what might primeval be. And so I'm kind of going Bronze Agey something for primeval, and then I'm just riffing on, you know, belong to a mighty. I'll just put a note here. Was the favored weapon of a legendary hunter. So it has the power to detect animals. There's an extra weekly prompt. Man, I didn't even know about an extra weekly prompt. Is that on my Swordtember image I'm looking at? Because I don't think I know about that. Oh, Origin. Oh, is that? No, I haven't been. Origin Arcane. No. How did I not see that little text? I have not. Man, I don't know if I'm going to mess with that one here. I might need to save that for like week 3 or maybe the next ones. Let's see. Kean says maybe could grant the ability to track prey like a bloodhound. That sort of hits on some early gruff warrior types. Yeah, I wonder. So we have detect animal, which gives us just some overall detection, but some kind of tracking. Or how about this? I got something else. So, you know, you have your X and 6 plus, whoops, equals. No, not equals. Plus 2 to surprise rolls in the wilderness. Just says, how many prompts are too many prompts? That's a good question. I actually think this is pretty good. I'll come up with whose weapon it was. But I like that. It can detect animals, and it's got a +2 to. So, you know, if you're a 1 and 6 to surprise, you'll go up to 3 and 6 to surprise. So you get a little extra bit of surprising people, or, you know, or if someone was surprises only on a 1 and 6, well, you're going to surprise them on a 3 and 6. So I think that's, but only in the wilderness, not when you're in a cave, but you're outside. You get the little extra oomph. Now, so that's kind of, we got 2 powers, and it's +2. That's okay. I think there is a little bit of guidance in the book on the penalty, what your bonuses should be, but I don't think I've really been using it. So according to Gaiax and Arneson in Monsters and Treasure, it says the swords all receive bonuses as far as the probability of hitting an opponent is concerned, but some also gain a damage bonus when they do hit. These swords are those with +2 or +3 against specific creatures, but not those with general bonus. Oh, I see. That's just about your bonuses. Okay, so yeah. I'll just keep it with a +2. I think that's good. All right, so now figure out its intelligence. So with 2 powers, and, you know, I'm guesstimating, as I mentioned. 2 powers is basically an 8, so I'll keep it with an 8. And it's ego, or egoism, they call it. Its ego is from 1 to 12. And basically, just in case you're curious, I'll just read you what they have in the book on egoism. Remember, they're referring to swords, but I'm referring to any kind of weapons in this, or even items that I'm using. Only those swords, intelligence of 7 or more, will have an egoism rating. Egoism ranges from 1 to 12. The higher the number, the greater the ego of the sword. Egoism of the sword will cause it to do the following: lead its user past better weapons, lead its user into great danger in order to exalt in its role in combat, allow itself to be captured by a higher level creature or character which is closer to the sword's station, surrender itself to a creature or character of a lower level in order to exercise greater control over its user, and require a share of captured treasure to be given to it in the form of better scabbards, jewel incrustation, or magical devices to guard it when not in use. Now, I ameliorate this a little bit by looking at there, which I hadn't put in there, looking at its alignment. So a lawful weapon like this isn't going to do some of those things. But, and I'll probably need to spell this out at some point, but what I do mean is, what I do think is that the weapon does want you to kind of, going back to what I mentioned before, in that, okay, these weapons, they're kind of made for a purpose. This one, the purpose is to hunt, to gather food. That's when we talk about this thing was forged with what's purpose, what intent was this? This was a mighty hunter doing huntery things. In this case, really hunting, not hunter as in killing evil creatures, though maybe they did, but potentially evil animals, let's say. And I might need to, I think I'll probably just leave it for GMs to determine, what's an animal versus a monster kind of thing. But this thing's a real weapon for someone out there hunting. That's what it was made for. So in this case, I would say, or at least my guidance to somebody using this, is that's what in this case, this is what the spear wants to do. It wants to hunt. It doesn't care about your other things. It doesn't care about those things. It said in there about exalting in combat. This thing wants to exalt in the hunt. That's kind of what it was all about. So that's how I would play that out. How's it going to communicate those things and what it can happen? Well, one, it's got this empathic link it'll make with you. The other thing is it can actually struggle for control. So really powerful items have these powerful egos to go along with them. And so it doesn't always just bend to your will because you've attuned to it. It's like, no, it's got stuff it wants to do, and you got to get on board if you're going to be its owner. Brian likes the idea that the weapon demands a cut of the loot. Yeah, absolutely. Got to add more jewels. You got to get a better scabbard or holder. Absolutely. Got to give it a nice relaxing bath. In Daniel's game, one of the other players has a magic sword. And this probably tells you a little bit about Daniel's game isn't like completely goofy, but there's some funny kind of fun stuff in it. And his sword is intelligent, and it's got the voice of Gilbert Gottfried, and it always wants him to take heads. It's not a Vorpal sword, though. No, it has some kind of Vorpal quality because it does take it, but it kind of demands you take heads, and he has to basically at some points he has to fight with the weapon over, like, no, you're not getting a head right now, or okay, I'm gonna give you a head. Cool. Well, there, I think, I'll write it out when I post it. It'll be a little bit more written out, but I think that really gets to it. You got some it communicates empathically. It's got an intelligence 8, ego 4, can detect animals, +2 to surprise rolls in the wilderness, and it's also +2. So even if you don't want to do the hunting part, it got that +2. But the sword might kind of try to fill that itch of, hey, now let's go hunting. Come on, hunt. Hunt. Cool. That didn't take too long now, did it? We need another one. And this one, I guess I'll do it this way. This one goes with skull. Should I move this up? Oops. There we go. Francis Gilbert Godfrey. I don't know how no one's thought about that. That is excellent. That should absolutely be its name. All right, so I got to do this because of my love for Highlander, the movie. It's got to be a helmet. Gotta be a helmet. Why? Because of where is he? This guy. Oh, that can't get a bigger image. This guy. There we go. I mean, it's not as big as I might like, but anyone remember the Kurgan? Oh, I mean, who doesn't remember the Kurgan? You have to remember the Kurgan. I would be shocked and appalled if people didn't remember the Kurgan. Highlander 1's an excellent movie. I'm gonna say the fight scenes probably don't hold up as well as I would wish them to, but it's just impossible because fight choreography has gotten. No, I hate when I click on it. I don't want to do that. I want to actually do that. And then we'll throw. Oh, a helmet. So Brian says, which is not a bad point at all. A helmet with a helmet with an offensive capability. I mean, it might. We'll have to think about that. I mean, the Kurgan's helmet was just a helmet, right? So I don't know. But we'll give this a. I don't know. I'm just going to put in -1 armor class or +1 armor class. It's better armor class, right? I guess if you're in an ascending armor class, you want to add 1. If you're a descending armor class, subtract 1. What's a good... So let's think of backstory of a... I keep wanting to say... I guess I'll just say, yeah, of a... I mean, because, yes, a legendary or a... not a bandit king. I don't know. What kind of... I don't know. Well, it doesn't have to be in the far past anymore, but... maybe some kind of reaver. What might this do? I wouldn't mind having some kind of fear effect. Brian loves how the Kurgan's voice always has some kind of crazy resonance to it. Yeah, I think that's just Clancy Brown's voice. He's just got that awesome. My cat's coughing and sneezing over here. Bless you, Bruce. You're all right. Let's see. What can the helmet do? What can the helmet do? What can the helmet do? Brian Smith says, could give the wearer some kind of bite attack or something close going off the cool jaws on the helm. Ah, interesting. Well, we'll make a note. Let's see. Oh, bite attack. Okay, this got me an idea. So made from the skull of a cave bear. All right, so let's think about this for a moment. Let me get up my book here. I think there's an entry for a cave bear in Basic or Expert book. We got some kind of bear. Let me see what we got here. What have we got? What have I got to work with? Oh, let's see. We've got troglodytes. The troglodyte would be kind of cool, but I don't know. Monsters, ogres, lycanthropes, lizards. I gotta go goblins, dragons, more dragons, cats, bears. Okay, we don't have cave bear, do we? Cave locust. They only give me one kind of bear. Oh, that's boar. Hold on a minute. Let me go back to bear. Let's see. Bear. Okay, we got black, grizzly, polar, and cave. Cave is the biggest one. So the bite attack. All right. So, yeah. So I'll go with Brian Smith's idea. But I'm going to take it a step. Well, there's going to be a little extra here. So let's see. Wearer gains bite attack. And it's a strong one too. It's 1d12 damage is the cave bear. Or sorry, 2d6. 2d6 damage. JD Soul 3002. Hey, JD says increased sense of smell that could trigger berserker-like rage. I like the idea of the berserker-like rage. Here we go. All right, so this will be good. This will be good. Oops. Hold on a minute. Let me get organized here. Get this stuff out there right now. Put this over here. Right there. Okay. So here we go. I like let's say on a successful, let's see. I don't want it to, how do I want to word this? So here's, that's holy crap. Some naked dude with his helmet on gets in a fight and just bites some villagers' heads off. Yes. So here's the wearer must save spells or transform into a cave bear. Maybe I'll say they might, maybe I would say they can choose to. May transform into a cave bear. Must save versus spells to transform back. Oh, let's see. Hold on. Let me. Okay. So transform into a cave bear. You have to save versus spells to came for back. May save once per night, once per day, night. Transformation lasts 2d4 days. Okay. A little bit complicated. Let's make sure I'll put in brackets. +1. So this is a chaotic helmet. +1 or -1 armor class. The helmet of a feared reaver. And maybe he did. Maybe this guy would go and just get into it and then just bite and then transform into a bear and just go crazy. But, well, once you're transformed, you may be rampaging around. You may be rampaging around as a cave bear for a while. I might put in some note about what happens. Do you become unintelligent? Maybe I'll put something. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. After first failed save, intelligence reduced to animal level. All right. So at first, you do the bite. You can transform, which you might want to. You get to go nutty, and you're good. You got your intelligence. You get to be, you're like the intelligent Hulk. You get to rampage around as a cave bear who's got 7 hit dice. So there's no joke. No joke there. But now you want to transform back. And, well, if you fail, you roll that first save to transform back and you don't make it, your intelligence reduces itself to animal level. You go running around the woods, but once per day and night, so once during daylight hours and once per nighttime hours, you can try to make another save. Reminds me, I like the unintelligence angle. It seems like the chaotic thing to do. It is very chaotic. Now, we don't have a name for this bad boy yet. Actually, I don't have a name for either one of those yet, but that's actually okay. How much time do I got left? All right, we got a little bit of time before I got to bail out. So cool. So I need to flesh these out a little bit, but now I've got two things. I'm going to let so JT asked through the bite force the transformation. I'm going to let that be that kind of risk reward for the player. Yes, it'd be fun to have something. And I thought about it on critical hits, on things, there's a lot of ways you can skin this cat, skin this bear. You could have it on a percentage. You could have it on a critical hit. You could have it it could be a multitude of ways, but I'm going to leave it in terms of the player. I'm going to let the player decide whether they want to do it or not. So they can have that bite attack, which is good, but they got to be, obviously they got to be in melee, but that's fine. And then they can decide whether they want to just keep biting all day long or whether they want to transform. Maybe I would say on a critical hit, maybe I'll add a note. On a critical hit, maybe you transform. Auto? I don't know. But I kind of like giving it up to the player. Presumably, especially depending on what level you are, the cave bear is going to be bigger than you, gets 3 attacks, get those nice hit points and stuff. So right now I'll leave it, but part of me thinks like if you crit, maybe you would, or if you crit fumble, maybe you'll transform. Because you kind of do, but you kind of don't. And that's what I like is like, hey, maybe you want to, maybe you don't. All right, can we get a third one in here? Well, let's give it a try. Why do you keep putting that there? I don't want you there. So you're going to link to Candle. All right, so Candle. And this is the other thing. I don't know how they come up with these prompts. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the prompt makers, but there was one that was an earlier one was, what was it? Or maybe it was Lantern. So we had Lantern, now we have Candle. So I had the Lantern give it some kind of light effect. So I'm thinking this one might actually be a candle. But a candle for what? I think I have an idea. I've got an idea. Oh, I didn't give this one. Hold on, I got to give this one. Yeah, I didn't give this one ego and. Oh, I might put a note in here because the int. I'm going to say the int, it's really got the bite attack. It's got 1 power. Yeah, I'm going to give it this, but I'm going to give it a pretty high ego. I'm going to give it an ego 7. I think I have to put some notes in here of these weapons about what they want. It's kind of a cool thing. What does it want? And I feel like this one, when you're fighting it, maybe on a crit miss, it will try to take control to transform because it wants to. I wonder if just on a critical miss of any weapon attack. Oh, I kind of like that. I think. They must contest with the sword or the swords, with the helmets. Ego. What's ego? On a failed contest, the wearer transforms into a cave bear, and their intelligence is reduced to animal level. A candle whip. Okay, so we got some good things here. So that's that. So, okay, so let's see. JT was thinking about candle revealing secret doors, dispelling illusions. That's a good one. JD Soul says the light from the candle casts shadows of invisible, non-material plane monsters or characters. Oh, interesting. Or dispels invisibility. All right, I like it. It's a lawful candle. I'm just going to give it both. Text, secret doors, dispels visibility on creatures within its light. Did I not spell invisibility right? I must have spelled it wrong. There we go. Oh, I forgot that. Okay. Look at that. We're rocking and rolling. And then, yeah, relative. So it's got 2 powers. So I guess but it's also, I'm not going to give it much of an ego because and they burn out. Cool. On creatures or objects. I'm gonna add traps in there. All right. Detects secret doors, passes, and traps. Detects and dispels invisibility on creatures or objects within its light. That was super fast. Can we do one more? We got divine. I feel like we could do one more. I wonder though. So here's my only question with the candle. Should it just be the candle, or should it be a candle holder that you can pop a candle into? Now, if it's a candle holder, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was thinking about. But maybe if it's a candle holder, I don't know if is there a name for a candle holder? What is a candle holder called? Is there a name for a candle holder? Wall mount. No, I guess candlestick holder, candle holder. Okay, no. Candle holder is just as good as anything. All right. So I'll raise this up. I'm gonna make this 4. Candelabra, but boy, that's huge. Isn't that candelabra? It holds like 10 candles. That might be candelabra. I mean, that feels like it's too much. Is that too much? I guess maybe not. Doesn't have to be. Oh, that makes me so. Maybe there should be 3 things. 3. All right. All right. Candelabra wins. Whoops. Candelabra wins. Is it? How did I spell it? Candelabra with 3. What do they call that? What do they call these? I need a description. Ooh, candelabrum. Candle holder with multiple arms. Okay, arms. With 3 arms. So here we go. Lighting a candle in the left arm. Detects secret doors. I'll leave traps out of it. Well, I don't know. I think secret doors, passages, and traps is actually, they kind of work all together. Lighting a candle in the right arm as long as the candle burns. Candelabra is definitely more epic, Brian Smith. I agree with that one. So lighting a candle in the right arm dispels invisibility of creatures or objects within its lights. Active as long as candle burns. Now, what happens in the middle? What happens in the middle? Lighting a candle in the middle arm. What would the middle one do? We got left, we got the right. What would, wait a minute, what did it say here? Candelabra or candelabrum? I like candelabrum. That's what I'm going to call it. Explodes like a broken staff of the Magi. JT, refresh my memory. What happens when the staff of the Magi blows up? Well, first, let's see. Well, what happens if you light one in the middle arm by itself? What is something else that might happen? This. I think I'm gonna be. I'm gonna say. Let's see. What's the word? Might be too much. 5th level? No. Yeah, 5th level. Like 5-foot radiance. Nice. All right. I do like the idea if all 3, if candles and all 3 arms are lit at once, I like that. It's kind of like don't be greedy. You can have 2 with a 3. You can't have all 3. I really like this as something. It's almost thinking of what you could imagine in a Gothic sort of Dracula type story. You know what Van Helsing might have this kind of magical candelabra so that he can, on the one hand, he could detect secret doors and passages. He can use it to dispel invisibility, or use it to turn undead. I like it. Might need to definitely an undead hunter. It's for sort of an I'll have to flesh out who this undead hunter is. But I think, was there anything else? Since I've got what other pictures? Any cool images of one that's kind of more handheld? It's very simple. Actually, I really kind of like this one. I kind of like it. All right. So that's the hour. Look at that. So this is, man, we did better than I could have possibly expected. I'll just recap here towards the end of the stream. And at least one of these I'll post tomorrow for the work in progress Wednesday. And then the rest of these, I'm going to do something with them when I get them all. But if you become a patron or channel member, if you're on YouTube, you can, I will post these, the ones, pretty much as they come out. I owe you guys 2 tonight, which will be Primeval and Skull, and then we'll keep going from there. So the Primeval weapon is a lawful bronze-headed spear, +2. Was the favorite weapon of a legendary hunter that I need to create still. Has the power to detect animals and gives you +2 to surprise rolls in the wilderness. We have a helmet shape made from the skull of a cave bear. It was the helmet of a feared reaver. It gives you a small bonus to your armor class, but what it does give you is a bite attack. You get a bite attack that does 2d6 damage. On a bite, you may choose to transform into a cave bear, but you must save versus spells to transform back. First time you fail a save, you lose, you get reduced, I should say, to animal intelligence, and the transformation can last for up to 8 days. Also, while you're wearing it, if you critical miss with any weapon, then you must contest with the helmet's ego, and if you fail that contest, you transform into the cave bear, and your intelligence is reduced to animal level, and I should put the note there about the 2d4 radius. And then finally, we have this candelabrum that belonged to some kind of undead hunter, I'm thinking. It's got 3 arms. If you put a candle and light it in the left arm, it detects secret doors, passages, and traps as long as the candle burns. If you put a candle in the right arm, it dispels invisibility on any creatures or objects within its light, and it's active, and that's active as long as the candle burns. If you put it in the middle arm, it will turn undead as a cleric of 5th level. However, if you put candles in all 3 arms at once, it gets destroyed. And I don't know if I'll have it explode or something, maybe. I don't know. And then there you go. So great stuff, everybody. Thanks so much for helping me. If you haven't had a chance, check out the video I just dropped on rulings over rules. I think that one's pretty good. Other than that, folks, I'm not sure what I got going on tomorrow. We'll take it as it comes. I might try to finish up Divine, and maybe we'll even do some more, seeing how things go. But other than that, everybody have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Bye now.